So we have arrived at the point where if I could ask each of you to just give us some closing remarks in a couple of minutes. It's stated 3 minutes, actually. And Tanya, would you...
Oh, sure. I mean, I sort of feel like I've said everything that I intended to say. But I think that there's...
has anything changed for you because of these two heretics?
Well, I mean, this observation that a conscious machine would have a God is a novel thought to me, and so I'm going to go away and think about it. But I think that the point that I would want to make to the audience is that these remarkable experiences in which people hear something, hear a person no one else can see, they feel the sense of a presence, they feel the universe break open, and they have a sort of Saul on the road to Damascus experience. Those experiences are relatively common, they're relatively powerful, they are deeply moving. Sometimes they're irrelevant, sometimes they're profoundly moving. There's an anthropologist called Godfrey Lienhart that described faith as, he said that the Dinka man, the Dinka are a pastoral community, pastoral people, or they were a pastoral people in southern Sudan. And he said that when a Dinka man is late going home to dinner, he'll tie a knot in a tuft of grass. And he doesn't believe that this knot is going to keep the sun from going down, but he believes that this is a way of externalizing his intention, and that the externalizing the intention is what changes him and causes him to believe, to act differently. And I think that that's what the experience of an external other does for people.
Thank you. Thank you. Rupert, have you?
Well, I love the fact that I'm sitting between, as it were, two extremes of, the brain, a neuroscientist and an anthropologist, with such different takes on consciousness, but which are very much part of any deeper understanding we come to, I think has to include both. And I love the fact that you're able to look at the way that different people experience these things differently. And they're not just experiences, that happened to me, but experiences make a huge difference in their lives. So they take them seriously and they have serious effects. And any understanding of consciousness has to take into account these experiences, not only of people's own consciousness, but their experiences of other kinds of consciousness. And I like the fact that Anil's approach to the brain and consciousness is to try and explain or connect conscious experiences with what's happening in the brain and look at them scientifically. And because I also like his idea of the real problem of looking at what we can look at scientifically. And I look at things which a lot of other scientists don't look at, but which I think are important ingredients in this, because I think we need to cast the net much wider. But I genuinely believe that through open-mindedly exploring these things, we can actually come to a deeper understanding of consciousness. And we're in a position that's unique, really, in the history of the world, because never before have we had access to all these different philosophical and religious traditions that we now have. We now know about all these different kinds of religion, theories of mind and consciousness and experience. We have this much more detailed experience of knowledge of brain structure and function of physical processes. And so, although we're far off an agreed and deeper understanding of consciousness, I'm hopeful that we're moving closer to one. And so in that sense, I think this debate's helpful because I think it's made me realize that there's more hope than I might have thought when I started when we came together, of actually moving forward to a deeper understanding.
Thank you.
Which could be useful and helpful to us.
Anil?
Thank you. Thanks both for a lovely discussion, and thanks for moderating it as well so beautifully. I think there are fascinating commonalities and disagreements, and I've learned a lot in recognizing this. So I'm very much on board with the importance of taking people's experiences seriously and I've learned the variation in individual experiences of how people experience thoughts. That's something I hadn't thought about too much before, so that's something I'll take away. And yeah, there's also a surprising to me commonality with Rupert in the sense of the importance of self-organizing systems that I think is a common ground for understanding the connection between life, mind, and perhaps consciousness too. But I also think there are interesting divergences, and there's a divergence perhaps in the primacy we give to the content of people's experiences in sort of evidentiary terms. These experiences can be massively important for people's lives. This is absolutely the case. But when it comes to trying to understand what gives rise to these experiences, I will come back to this important distinction between taking them seriously but not taking them literally. And when it comes, and this I think is clear in these examples of the sense of being stared at, we should take those experiences seriously, but to take them literally, I think is a very different claim, and here's where I think a disagreement persists, because to take them literally would need overturning almost 400 years of accumulated worldview about how our universe works. And one doesn't want to do that without extremely good reason, but if it is necessary, one ought to do that, because at the core of science is a humility and a recognition that we will never have the full picture, we'll never have direct access to truth. All we will have is evidence, and it's up to us to judge the importance of that evidence.
We'll just have a better controlled hallucination.
We will.